What's going on YouTube? It's Giga here, bringing you some more Series 9 Wi-Fi battles with live commentary. We are once again using this Miltank team built by KantoClark, who's a friend of the channel that has just a lot of really cool flexibility. So looking at my opponent's team, we do see a Clefairy with a Thundurus, Landorus, Blastoise, Rillaboom, and Turtonator. So I actually really like Miltank with Miltank with Comfy. I think due to the fact that we do have access to Max Hailstorm, that is going to be a really big deal against something like both Landorus and Thundurus. So having that option I think is really good. I do really like Lando. I think Lando is going to be pretty important in the end game for potentially dealing with Turtonator and probably Dragapult as well, right? Because I'm thinking we do need a good answer for Turtonator setting up, and the fact that Dragapult resists all of the main attacks I think can come in handy. I'm just trying to think of maybe, do I want to do Rotom? Let's do Rotom over, Rotom over Landorus. I guess the reasoning for that is we do have access to Dark Pulse, so we can lower special defense on Turtonator. I think this is going to be a little bit of a tricky situation depending on what my opponent leads, but I'm hoping that Miltank's natural bulk can help pick up some big KOs. So we are going to see a Thundurus Blastoise. And so I want to just go for Max Hailstorm as well as a Giga Drain into Miltank just to get an attack boost. And I'm hoping that at +1 we can pick up a KO. I think this is a little bit tricky because Blastoise does threaten with a ton of cannonade damage, and I think the fact that Miltank isn't really the fastest puts us in an awkward spot, right? Because we do risk being double targeted, but we are maxing first, which means that Blastoise potentially... Blastoise has the potential of... not maxing or being slower. And I think if they're slower, that's a really good thing. But this is a pretty easy situation for them to just go for a Shell Smash, which it looks like they are. And I think... I'm guessing it's going to be support Thundurus. As we are going to see the taunt come out, which means that they are going to go for a Shell Smash, which... Oh, okay, so they go for a Yawn onto Comfy, which isn't necessarily the worst thing, as we are going to get a big Hailstorm off into their Thundurus, and I feel pretty okay switching out switching out Comfy, right? Because we do have Rotom in the back, and we are now at +1 with the Life Orb. It is a little bit tricky because we have used a turn of our max, whereas they still have theirs. So honestly, let's see what they have in the back, right? Because it might be worth... It might honestly be worth... No, I want to preserve Comfy. I think Comfy's ability to heal is just like too valuable to give up, and they don't necessarily know that I don't have an electric move. So I do want to switch out. We are going to see Clefairy come out, which suggests to me you are going to go for redirection. So... Oh wait, I have Misty Terrain. That's great. I'm going to Misty Terrain into Blastoise and go for a Giga... Yeah, because Psychic Terrain is priority. Misty Terrain is status. So we can go for this. So we are going to get the Giga Drain off, which is going to get us to +2. And that's going to let us set up the Misty Terrain so we don't have to worry about the Yawn this subsequent turn. And that'll put us in a... Yep, because we are going to see the Yawn come out. I think that makes a lot of sense. And this is actually really good, right? Because now we do get the Starfall off. We get the terrain to ensure... Oh, I really would have liked Clefairy to have gone down there. But we are going to make it so they've wasted 2 turns with Blastoise, right? Because we can't be put to sleep, and we can start using that to our advantage, right? The tricky spot now is, where do we kind of go from here? we can Starfall the Blastoise and try and Draining... let's strike the Blastoise, actually. Let's just try and get as much damage as possible. So let's go for a strike here and go for a Draining Kiss onto Togekiss. Right? Because it's... I mean, not Togekiss, onto Clefairy. Because I'm hoping it's so low that we are able to pick up the knockout from this point. Because what? Blastoise should not have a terrain move. So we are going to see the Draining Kiss come out. The question is, are we going to pick up this knockout? And I don't think we did, right? Did Clefairy live on 1? Yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate. We are going to see the Clefairy live just barely, but we do now have... Oh, we do take a pretty big Water Spout, and we do see that they are Life Orb, and I think Max Strike is great now because we are going to be able to lower the Blastoise speed, so we don't necessarily have to worry about them outspeeding with Blastoise, which is really good because they are down to their last 2, which means that Rotom is going to be guaranteed faster than whatever they have in the back, and we can also go for some recovery with Miltank. So we are, I think, in a really good position overall. We did avoid the Yawn, which is huge. So the big question is what is the last thing my opponent has? And it looks like... Okay, so it looks like it is Landorus, which is a little bit scary. I think we should try and target down Landorus, right? We know that the Blastoise is slower at this point, so I want to go for an Ice Punch. Oh, no. I would like to Ice Punch into Landorus. What do I have in the back? I have Dragapult, so Floral Healing. Let's try and Floral Healing the Miltank, right? We need to get it healthy, because we just need to live... We do need to just live 1 max hit from Landorus. This is a situation where I actually really do wish I did bring... what is it called? I did bring Landorus over Rotom, because then I would be able to cycle... I would have been able to cycle Will-O-Wisps. I mean, not Will-O-Wisps, Intimidates onto their Landorus, and I think that would have put us in a really good position. Yeah, Dragapult is kind of useless here. Not necessarily, right? Dragapult does have Breaking Swipe. They could go for an Airstream, right? Yep. We are going to see the Airstream come out. I think that makes a lot of... Makes a lot of sense. So they are going to... Yeah, they're going to pick up a double knockout at this point, which is really awkward. Because, yep, Comfey... Oh, but Comfey is going to go down to Hail. So it doesn't end up mattering. We are going to, unfortunately, take the double knockout, but we are going to get some good chip onto a lot of their stuff, right? Blastoise at this point is pretty weak, and it's just figuring out, like, what is going to be your answer for what we have. We can bring out the 2 of them, and I think, right, we have I forget what Dragapult's moves are, but I think Rotom should be able to live a hit from Blastoise. And what we do have Breaking Swipe, so we can go for... I think we Breaking Swipe and go for a Hydro Pump onto Landorus. Yeah, this is really tricky that my opponent was able to come back. I think the Airstream onto Miltank was a little bit obvious, and I think what made this super hard was the fact that okay, so we're still faster, which is great, right? We're getting an attack drop onto Lando, so we are going to be able to hopefully get some big damage, as we are going to see the Airstream come out again into Rotom. As a result of that attack drop, we are not going to take too much. And we're just going to keep kind of chipping away at Blastoise, right? Because it's going to probably Water Spout. Oh, just kidding. You have Blizzard, which Dragapult's able to live. Now, we need to pick up the knockout onto Landorus this turn. I think that's going to be our best bet. We need to... Yep, we do hit the Hydro Pump. We unfortunately don't pick up the knockout. But at this point, what do we do? We go for another breaking swipe, and we go for, I think, a Dark Pulse just to play it safe. Yeah, this is hard. I'm actually I think if Clefairy had gone down to Training Kiss, we would have been in such a better position because of the fact that we would have been able to. It would have been Landorus versus all four of us. Versus now they do have the support from Blastoise. We do see the double spread, and it just is really putting them in an advantageous position. We do see the Max Quake come out, which I think is very smart. You're going to target into Dragapult. Dragapult will obviously go down with the idea that you need Blastoise to survive, right? So what I need to do now is I need to hit the Water Spout and see how much damage. I mean, not the Water Spout, the Hydro Pump, but I think... Oh, very smart. Very, very smart. Okay, so we're gonna go for a Dark Pulse. This does not pick up the knockout as a result of the Quake. That's so unfortunate. Oh god. I don't think Landorus has what is it called? I don't think it has Protect. I'm just going to try and pick up the knockout here with the expectation that Blastoise is going to go for a Protect, which we do see come out. Landorus does not. I'm guessing it's Assault Vest. Hopefully. Smart play. We are going to be guaranteed to take at least 2 hits. So I don't see really a good way we can come back from this. I think, yeah, the Clefairy living... Because we would have gotten a +2 Miltank hit into, what is it called? They're gonna hit the Blizzard too, which I mean, what has to happen now is we would need them to go for a Rock Slide. We would need a Rock Slide miss and a first turn Wake. We need them to. We just need a bunch of misses, which they don't. End up getting. So unfortunately we do go down this game, and that was really frustrating. I should have Hydro Pumped. I should have Hydro Pumped as well. I think that the two huge factors of that game were, one, the fact that Clefairy lived, because we would have definitely, if not picked up the knockout onto Blastoise, we would have put it in range of getting KO'd and not having that many turns left, and then we would have been able to just outpace Landorus. And then there was just the fact that, yeah, I should have Hydro Pumped, because if I had knocked out Landorus, I would have had a much better situation, because then I would have just been 1v1ing with the Blastoise. So definitely an unfortunate end, but really glad we got to bring Miltank, and yeah, let's just keep rocking and rolling and move to the next one. All right, battle number 2, and okay, so this is a team that got to top of ladder a couple months ago. So I remember Cybertron has featured it on his channel. I think Celesteela is really big here, with the fact that it can deal with quite a bit of these threats. So I do want to bring Celesteela. I think Celesteela Lando is a really good option into my opponent, with the idea that we can just go for a lot of big damage, especially if they let us set up correctly. I forget where the weakness policy is, and I think that makes it a little bit hard. I could actually bring Dragapult. I'm going to actually lead Dragapult Comfy with Lando and Steela in the back, because I don't expect them to expect me to have weakness policy on Dragapult. So my thought process is we can kind of go for a surprise hit. We can Phantom Force. I think if they lead Moltres, we do have the option of going for something like a Max Dragon. But like I said, I forget where the weakness policy is. We are going to see, okay, so we do see Spectrier next to Grimmsnarl, and so I don't think the Grimmsnarl has Sucker Punch, right? I feel pretty confident to max Phantasm with a Draining Kiss into Dragapult, right? I'm guessing what the plus 2 will counteract the Reflect if they choose to go for it, which will let us pick up the KO. Unless, God, is Spectrier Sash? I don't remember this set well enough, which makes it hard. And honestly, like, it could be a little premature to max Dragapult. Let's see, right? Them maxing Spectrier is obviously really great. I don't expect them to. I think the Spectrier could be Sash with Will-O-Wisp. We do see, okay, so we do see no max, which indicates to me that I might be right. But we will have the weakness policy plus 2 before they get off their Will-O-Wisp in the event that they are. So we do get significant damage up early on, as this Phantasm is going to go in, and are they Sash? I can't see. They are Sash. Okay, so we need them to miss the Will-O-Wisp. And it looks like, let's see, probably Will-O-Wisp, right? Yep, we do see a Will-O-Wisp come out, and they do miss, which is actually really huge for us. Because now what we can do is we can... I want a Phantasm. I'm going to Airstream into the... we don't actually need an Airstream. I'm going to go for another Phantasm into Spectrier, because they don't have a resist for it, and then go for a Draining Kiss into the Grimmsnarl, just trying to get as much damage as possible. And we can take advantage, I think, of the fact that they miss, so we do pick up a knockout onto Spectrier, which will be really huge, as we do get a solid a bit of chip onto the Spectrier. And now at this point, their Grimmsnarl is at -2, so it is the same as though we just have a weakness policy boost. The big fear, obviously, is if they bring out what? Moltres is a big fear. We do see a Spirit Break come out, does a decent chunk, but we do have access to, what is it called? We do have immediate access to Recovery, which they can't stop. As we do, yep, we do see the Moltres come out in this situation. I just want to go for a max Wormwind to get as much damage as possible, and then go for a Floral Healing. What do I have in the back? I have Steela, so I'm not super worried about Moltres. I would much rather try and get some damage onto this Grimmsnarl. So I'm trying to just divide the damage up with the idea that, yeah, we are going to see the Moltres max. I think Steela should be in an okay spot, especially if we don't trigger the policy. And the question then is, I guess, how much are we going to do with this max dragon? Which it is, I think it is going to be a little bit unfortunate that we don't get any sort of drops, but I think it is going to be what's smart. That was actually a really good play on their part, as we are going to bring out this Draining Kiss, and I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about Dragapult surviving. It's going to be irrelevant. So this gives them a pretty free Spirit Break, which should, yeah, that is going to pick up the knockout onto Dragapult. I could have kept Dragapult alive, but what, right? We can at this point stop. We can bring out Celesteela, and what we can do is we can guarantee a knockout onto their Grimmsnarl before they're able to set up a light screen, which I think is going to be really valuable for us in the end game. So what I want to do is I'm going to try and go for a Leech Seed, as well as a Draining Kiss onto Grimmsnarl, right? Because we can kind of slowly chip away at this Moltres, with the idea that, what, we do have to be a little worried though, because we can't safely bring out Landorus. So I just want to, like I said, pick up as much damage as possible. They don't have the light screen up, and I think that is going to be really beneficial. So the question now is what? Oh, you're probably going to start going for, yep, Max Darkness makes sense. You want to lower the special defense of my Celesteela, and I think we should be able to take another one if we hit the Leech Seed. We also do have Floral Healing, as we unfortunately do miss. And I think that but what? They have one turn left. We can safely protect to stall out their max and then cycle in with Landorus. As we do see, it is going to be Tapu Fini in the back, which doesn't like Celesteela too much, but it does really like Landorus, right? So I want to go for a Protect on Celesteela. I could actually just swap out Celesteela. No, and taunt the Tapu Fini. Let's do that. And then I do want to preserve land. I do want to be able to swap out to get rid of the special defense drop, as we are going to see, yep, a second Max Darkness into the Celesteela. The main issue now is, are the 2 drops going to be enough for Tapu Fini to KO my Comfey? Which I actually expect to be yes. As we are going to, so we are going to be faster, and we do get the taunt off, which is really good for us, as we are going to see, okay, great. They're going for Calm Mind. This is not an ideal position, but it's not a terrible position. Because what we can start doing is because their max is over, we can now swap out Celesteela into Landorus, and we can go for Giga Drains onto the, what is it called? We can Giga Drain onto the Fini, just to start getting some chip, and then we can cycle out Comfey back into Celesteela with the idea that we want to be able to preserve our Pokemon as much as possible, because I think we do have to slow play versus this Moltres. And what's really going to let us do that is getting rid of these special defense drops, as we do pick up a pretty sizable amount of recovery. As in comes a Fiery Wrath. We take that really well. And they do unfortunately go for Muddy Water, which should pick up the KO on Landorus. As, yep, we do see Landorus go down. And we are gonna be able to bring out Celesteela, which has the advantage of what? It has the advantage of Leech Seed. So what we can do is we can Floral Healing. Tapu Fini cannot protect, right? We know that. They do have the ability to... What they do, I say we go for a Leech Seed onto Tapu Fini and go for a Floral Healing onto Celesteela, just with the idea that we kind of just want to slow play it. Like I said, we do want to slow play this as long as possible, so we need to not get flinched by Fiery Wrath, and we need to hit the Leech Seed, as we are going to see the Fiery Wrath come out, and we are going to take not a ton. The scary thing though is we do have to also take a Muddy Water, as unfortunate for them, it is going to miss, and we are going to hit the Leech Seed, right? So we are going to start getting a good amount of recovery, and we can try and pick up, what we need to do is we need to pick up the knockout onto Tapu Fini, so that way we can, what is it called? We can get the special defense boost to have any chance of beating this Moltres. And if we look at how much HP we recovered, we did recover enough to survive basically at full, but 80 versus 75. I'm going to go for a Flash Cannon onto Tapu Fini. We do need to get some special defense drops, and they need to try and go for some luck. They do correctly go for a Nasty Plot, and I think that was a really smart play, because, right, you're going to be faster, as you are going to be able to Calm Mind up, and I'm guessing they expected a Protect. And that was a fairly aggressive read, right? But it also benefited them, because we do see the Flash Cannon as a result of Calm Mind. They're not going to take too much, and we don't get the drop. So this is, I think we pretty much have lost this game. I'm just trying to think of what I could have done to play a little bit better, right? Because at this point we have to live from a +2 Moltres as well as a +1 Tapu Fini. I say we can try to Leech Seed, And then, protect out the wazoo. Tapu Fini is going to lose health consistently. Moltres is as well, but there's nothing stopping them from continuously boosting up, especially given the fact that they are faster, and also now they can Fiery Wrath with the chance of flinch. And given, how low that put us, and the fact that they hit, we are unfortunately going to lose this game as well. And I think maxing the max guard was a really good play, and I was a little bit unsure about it, but it made sense, right? Because you pretty much guarantee a knockout onto Dragapult, because I chose not to go for Protect onto it, and then you created a situation where Moltres really was in an advantageous position, especially given the fact that you were able to knock out Comfey at such an early point in time. And I should have swapped out Comfey first, where my thought was, okay, we want Celesteela to be the valuable one. And I guess how could I have played this differently, knowing that those were the 4 they had? I think it's just hard because of the fact that so what I would have had to do is I would have had to lead Landorus, because Landorus has a what is it called? A Lumberry. So we could have gone for Airstream into the Spectrier, and then picked up the knockout the subsequent turn and set up something like a Rockfall to get the special defense boost, and then fought that way. So that probably would have been what we had to do. But yeah, let's just keep rocking and rolling and play one more. All right, last battle of the day, and it is a Sun Core. So we are looking at Zapdos with Vino Torkoal. We do see a Regirock on that team, as well as Grimmsnarl and Porygon. So I like Miltank a lot. Miltank is a good option because of the fact that we do have weather control with it, and so we're not super... Lando also does have Lumberry, but the fear, though, is that Vinelash still does so much damage into you that it doesn't really matter. So I like Miltank with... I could do Miltank Land... no, let's do Miltank Comfey. It's just tricky, right? Because if you lead Venucoal, like, you pressure so much damage in so many different ways. I think Rotom is going to be very beneficial. And then the question is, what do I bring in the back, right? Celesteela, no, because of Torkoal. Probably Lando, right? Dragapult doesn't really... Does Dragapult really do anything? I don't think into this team. I think I would much rather have Landorus. So let's try and see how this 4 works out. I think the ideal would be Venu Porygon, with the idea that we can kind of react into that, versus if they do Venucoal, because it's just like I can get good damage onto one but not the other. As we are, okay, so we do see Porygon next to Venusaur, which is like a very common lead, with the idea that you have a lot of flexibility in what you can do. And so now the big question, right, is what do you want to do? And so you can either swap out Venusaur. You either swap Venusaur into Torkoal, or you swap Porygon into Torkoal. So one of these is going to become Torkoal. And so we can... If we max strike this slot, that accounts for the Torkoal switching in, and we taunt into them. I expect the Porygon to switch in, or to go for a Trick Room, just given the fact that Miltank has Sap Sipper. So I'm gonna go for a taunt into Porygon 2 and a max strike into Venusaur, with the expectation that Venusaur will switch into Torkoal, so I don't get Sap Sipper boost, and then... Interesting. They're gonna stay in, so they could Sleep Powder into Comfey, which is probably what I'm thinking, because we're gonna see no switch, right? So I'm expecting a Sleep Powder into Comfey, which is honestly okay. Okay, so they're just gonna go for a Sludge Bomb, which also is fair. We do manage to hang on, which is really great. We are going to be able to get a Strike Off, which means we do have access to recovery before they are going to be able to do anything. And we should, at this point, also be able to, get a Taunt off, yep, to stop any sort of incoming Trick Room. So given the fact that we see this, oh, they went for a tri-attack. Very smart on their end, because now we do lose access to our main support, but we do have Miltank still out here, and I think probably Lando. I think this is hard, right? Because what you can swap out, you can swap Porygon into Torkoal, and I think that puts you in a really advantageous position. So let's good Hailstorm. Nope. I want to... I'm going to go for a Rock Slide. This is, I think, a little bit of a risky play. We do see no switches, so that's actually really interesting. I'm hoping we do manage to pick up the knockout onto Venusaur, which is great for us, because now we have a good amount of damage onto this Porygon. Good amount of damage, quote unquote. They cannot go for a Trick Room as a result of the taunt, so probably, okay, and we do get a Lucky Flinch, which, what, they can bring out Torkoal at this point, and or whatever they have in the back. As we are, okay, so it is going to be Regirock, which is fine, right? I want to Hailstorm into Porygon and go for what? They can Rockfall. I could Fly. I'm thinking Rockfall or Hailstorm just for a little bit of extra chip. Actually, let's do that. Let's go for... I want to actually strike into Porygon and go for a Rock Slide. I don't want to let Porygon recover, because I think that's going to be a really scary endgame. We do luckily have... what is it called? We do luckily have Rotom, which can help deal with this Regirock. The main question though is how do we pivot that in? And the big advantage they still have is because they do have Torkoal in the back. They can pick up this, because they can just switch out really easily. We are unfortunately going to miss the Regirock, but that doesn't actually matter too much. I do want to get rid of this Porygon too, but like I said, it is going to be just a little bit tricky because of the fact that they can now bring out Torkoal next to this Regirock to guarantee that, hey, we can basically stop the weather, as they do make the smart call and go for the Rockfall onto Landorus. Landorus is going to take it, and so what I can do is I can try and fly with Landorus, because we're going to see Torkoal come in this turn, and I think we do have Fire Punch, right? Fire Punch will be boosted, and we do have the chance of a burn. And so what we can do is, since we can't lower Regirock's stats, we can at least try and burn it. And I think that might be kind of our best bet as we try and stall out as much as possible. So we should Fire Punch here, not very effective, and go for a Rock Slide again. I can't really risk letting Torkoal Eruption, as we do see a Protect, which really makes me regret not going for a Fly, but it is kind of what it is, as we do pick up just a little bit of chip, and the main question is, can we get this burn off? And it looks like we don't this turn, but I am expecting Regirock to... Okay, so they're going to Knuckle, which is scary, into Miltank. Miltank is going to manage to hold on, which is fortunate for us because of the fact that we do have another chance now to burn this Regirock. And what we are also doing is we are going to be stalling out the turns of Dynamax. I still want to go for a Rock Slide because I don't know if this thing is policy. We aren't seeing a leftovers on it. We do connect with the Rock Slide, so we are going to get a decent chunk onto Torkoal. And Fire Punch, come on, get the burn. Survey says we do. So this is now like a solid spot, right? Because we're going to see a second max knuckle, which unfortunately puts them at neutral, but it's like not the scariest thing in the world. And I'm assuming they go for like I'm assuming Eruption with Torkoal just to pick up the knockout onto Landorus, right? We're going to see a Burning Jealousy. And the question is, at this range we're going to go down. And so what we can do is we can protect with what is it called? We do have Rotom as the only thing left. I think it is potentially fine, right? The question is, we saw that Regirock did not go for any sort of what is it called? Regirock did not go for a way of changing the weather. So how many turns of Sun are left? 3, 4. Okay, so we should just protect, try and get a little bit more burn chip onto this Regirock, and then we definitely want to target into Torkoal with Hydro Pump, as we do see the Rock Slide come out, which is nice because we know that there's a chance of missing, as Torkoal is just going to go for Burning Jealousy because it probably is its best option. It is tricky though because Regirock is at neutral, and I think we want to go for a Hydro Pump into Torkoal, just trying to divert as much. We want to just try and get some good damage out on this turn. We do miss the what is it called, the Hydro Pump, and take a lot from that Regirock. Way more than I would have liked. And yeah, we can't unfortunately live another hit from this Regirock, so we do have to go for Protect, and this should be the last turn of Sun. And so with Sun gone, we can go for a Hydro Pump into Regirock, and then we should be able to live the Burning Jealousy from Torkoal. So we'll need to hit 2 Hydro Pumps and survive a Burning Jealousy. As we do see, the Burning Jealousy come out, and now, the Sunlight is going to fade. And we, at this point, Regirock is at almost half. So Hydro Pump, we need to Hydro Pump here. They could reveal Protect. I think that's a scary option. We don't see Protect. We do unfortunately miss the